I'm Lauren Green, and you're in the Strategy Room. A religious objection bill that opponents say could legalize discrimination against gays cleared the Indiana Senate on Tuesday, positioning the state to become the first to enact such a change this year ahead of an expected U.S. Supreme Court ruling on same-sex marriage. Joining us to discuss are political strategists Joe Lestingi and Amos Snead. Welcome to you both.
Hey, thank you very much.
Joe, let me start with you. This bill is garnering a lot of controversy out there in Indiana and, of course, across the nation. Your reaction?
Yeah, rightfully so. It deserves the scrutiny that it's getting. This is a situation where they've passed a law that won't be upheld in courts. There's just no way that something like this is going to be upheld. This is introducing discrimination back into society after we fought Jim Crow for all those years. This isn't only about homosexual couples, LGBT community. They can discriminate based on the fact that someone is Jewish, Muslim, someone is maybe even African American if they happen to be a member of the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan that own the business. There are many things that this opens Pandora's box to. This is bad for our country. This is taking us backwards, and it's just to score cheap political points in the end.
Amos, what is your reaction to this bill?
Well, they're calling it a religious freedom bill, but we've seen Christians on both sides of the issue in Indiana. We've seen similar legislation in Arkansas that didn't quite make it out. And then in Indiana, Governor Pence has said he'll sign this into law. You know, and I think he's someone with eyes on a bigger office. You hear his name batted about around 2016 or maybe 2020. So I think it's interesting to see how this is playing out in the states and whether it'll be a big campaign issue come around November.
Joe, I want to ask you, though, about the issues of the supporters saying the bill protects religious freedom, because we've seen cases where a baker in Colorado was forced to serve a same-sex couple, and also not only that, but to take sensitivity training. We've got the New Mexico photographer had to pay thousands of dollars, probably lost the business. You've got another baker who's just stopped making wedding cakes altogether. This is the bill that was directed at people like that so that that protects their religious freedom. What do you say to that?
It's protected in the First Amendment. You have the right to assemble and you have the right to practice your religion freely. But here's the thing. You can't discriminate against other people in this country. This is beyond just legislation. This is about a mindset that they're trying to legislate that individuals can be or should be able to block access to certain people to goods and services. Jim Crow tried this. This has been done in our society before, and it was a black eye on our nation, and we shouldn't be doing it again. This whole attack on religious freedom, it's codified in the Constitution. One of the few things. And they're just adding to this.
But I want to ask you this, though, Joe. Should that photographer have lost their business? Do they have because of that?
Did they lose their business or did they get out of the business?
They lost their business. They were fined thousands of dollars.
They lost business because they obviously they couldn't sustain this business model, and that they had to pay this fine. I get that. They have to go to sensitivity training. I get that as well. You can't discriminate, though, just because someone doesn't agree with you or they're not the same as you. What if that couple was Jewish and he said, "Well, I don't serve Jewish individuals"? It's the same thing. You cannot foster that type of mentality in this nation. That's not what we're built on. We are all created equal. That is in our the founding documents of this country. We need to maintain that principle.
Amos, what do you say?
I think, if you look at what Governor Pence is doing and what's happening in Indiana, they're honestly trying to protect these small businesses that are being targeted. So I think we'll see how this plays out there. We do know we have a Supreme Court case coming up, so I think it'll be interesting to see, does this gain any traction in additional states, and how quickly does it drive the conversation for 2016?
There's some backlash, though, from making this law could come from businesses themselves, because Gen Con, who's a big gaming convention business, is threatening to pull out of Indiana if the governor signs this bill. And he says he will sign it, but now because of these businesses, perhaps not, I don't know. But, your take, Joe, just basically on the idea that this could be a real economic issue for a state.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very good part that no one's talking about, because there are businesses that are interested in going to societies and communities that are friendly to all walks of life. So yes, seeing these conventions pull out of Indiana, I mean, there's a classic example within the Democratic Party right now. There's going to be a meeting in July with a whole bunch of digital consultants and Democratic operatives in Arizona, and there are a lot of people protesting that because they don't believe in Arizona's treatment of illegal immigrants. So that is something where you see the market effects of political decisions come into play. And if Pence signs this, he's got bigger problems than just that. This will hurt him on the presidential trail, and he will never be able to run away from this. It will sink his campaign as president.
And Amos, I'm going to give you the last word on this.
Well, I think you actually bring up a really good point about how business can affect the policy on the state level. If you look at what happened in Arkansas, this was moving until Walmart weighed in, and after they weighed in, it kind of they hit the brakes on it. So it is very interesting to see that influence.
All right, I want to thank you, Joe and Amos, for being in the strategy room, and check out foxnews.com for more on this developing story. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.